The cold kiss of steel brushed my throat, just enough to let a single drop of blood break through the skin. I was bound to a chair in my own living room, leather straps biting into my wrists and ankles. My pulse throbbed in my ears like a war drum, but I kept my expression flat, eyes locked on the monster towering over me. Victor stood smugly above me, his massive frame casting a shadow that seemed to suck the warmth from the room. At his side, Emile and Marco chuckled, their laughter sharp and cruel. They weren't just intruders, they were predators reveling in their dominance. And then there was Sophia. My wife. My partner of 10 years. The woman I once believed I'd grow old with. She sat on the couch like a queen among jackals, a glass of wine delicately balanced between her fingers, one heel dangling from her foot, the other kicked carelessly to the floor. Her black dress clung to her curves with sinful precision, her posture relaxed and mocking. Her eyes, once filled with love, were now icy and distant as she gave me a smirk that turned my stomach. Victor leaned in, voice low and venomous. "Now you're a real cuckold," he sneered, dragging the blade a little closer. "Watch while we have fun with her." My wife didn't flinch. In fact, she smiled wider. "Watch, bastard," Sophia spat, her voice dripping with poison. "Maybe you'll finally learn how to treat me." Their laughter rang out again, harsh, triumphant. I should have been broken in that moment. I should have wept, begged, pleaded. But I didn't. Because while they thought they were ending me, they were waking up something far more dangerous. This wasn't the end of my story. It was the beginning of theirs. Sophia and I had once been the couple everyone envied. We met at a 5-star hotel in Vienna. Me, the operations manager. Her, the events coordinator. We clicked immediately. She was ambitious, sharp-witted, magnetic. Our chemistry was undeniable. Within a year we were married and starting a life in Zurich, filled with passion, adventure, and plans for forever. But somewhere along the way the cracks began to show. Work demanded more of me. The long hours, the late nights. Sophia said she understood, but I could see the boredom creeping in. She needed attention, constant validation, excitement. I tried, I really did. But I couldn't compete with the thrill of reckless flirtations and whispered secrets. I noticed the shift, how she'd pull away when I touched her, the sudden girls' nights, the hidden smiles at texts she wouldn't let me see. Still, I told myself we were just going through a rough patch. That we'd bounce back like always. Then I found the messages. Her phone buzzed late one night while she was in the shower. I glanced at it. Just for a second. Just enough to see the name, Marco. My chest tightened. I opened it. Curiosity turned to horror as I scrolled through explicit messages, filthy confessions, and plans for hotel rendezvous. There were other names too, Victor. Emile. Different threads, same betrayal. My wife wasn't cheating. She was living another life. I confronted her the next evening, laying out the screenshots, the hotel receipts, the photos from the private investigator I'd hired. She didn't cry. She didn't apologize. She laughed. "You've been playing detective?" She smirked, pouring herself wine. "How pathetic. How could you do this, Sophia?" My voice shook with rage and grief. She rolled her eyes. "Because you're boring, Elias. You're never around. You don't see me anymore. They make me feel alive." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "You're throwing away everything we built? For them?" "For fun," she said flatly. "And you're too weak to stop me." 2 nights later I came home to hell. Victor was lounging in my chair, feet kicked up on the table like he owned it. Emile and Marco flanked him, beer bottles in hand. And there was Sophia nestled between them, laughing like she'd already erased our decade together. When I stepped forward, Victor stood up, drawing a blade from his pocket. "Sit down," he said. I said, "Get out of my house." I growled, but even I knew I was outnumbered. They shoved me into a chair. Emile strapped me in. Victor leaned in close, that blade pressing against my throat. "Now you're a real cuckold," he whispered again. Sophia sipped her wine, eyes cold as the Alps. "Watch, bastard," she said. "Maybe you'll learn something." But they had no idea who they were dealing with. I sat there, silent, watching, memorizing every face, every detail, every smug gesture. The humiliation burned, but underneath it, something stronger was growing. Cold, focused, dangerous. And I planned. Victor was the first. He worked as a bouncer at an exclusive club, alone most nights as he walked to his car. I waited in the shadows, a baseball bat under my coat. The moment he stepped into the alley, I stepped out. "Elias," he chuckled. "You again?" I said nothing. I swung. The crack of bone beneath wood was louder than I expected. Victor dropped instantly, gasping, but I kept going. Again. 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 I let the fury pour out in every swing. When I finally stepped away, he was a heap of blood and broken bones. He lived. Barely. But his reign was over. Next was Emil. The respectable family man. Married, 2 kids, white picket life. I mailed everything, photos, messages, footage from hidden cameras I'd installed in our house, to his wife. She filed for divorce immediately, took the kids, took the house, took everything. His employer caught wind of the scandal and terminated him. Emil lost his family, his job, his reputation. He now scrapes by doing menial labor, a shell of the smug man who laughed at my pain. Marco? He was easier. A rising star in the art world, obsessed with his image. I leaked everything to the press. Images, videos, proof of his involvement in Sophia's twisted games. His gallery dropped him. Clients disappeared. His name became radioactive in the art community. Last I heard, he fled the city in disgrace. And Sophia? I served her divorce papers personally, then froze every shared account. I reclaimed the assets, the apartment, the car. She had nothing. No money. No lovers. No support system. Just the shattered remains of a life she thought would always be under her control. The woman who once smirked at me across a wine glass now cried in a public restroom when she couldn't pay her bill. Revenge isn't just about destruction. It's about making them live with what they've done. Now, I stand on the balcony of my new high-rise apartment, the city lights glittering beneath me. I sip aged whiskey, letting the quiet wrap around me like armor. Victor still lies in a hospital bed, a steel rod in his leg. Emil's working night shifts at a warehouse. Marco is a ghost on the internet, his once flashy art replaced by silence. And Sophia? No one knows. No one cares. She's vanished from the spotlight, erased by the consequences of her own arrogance. Some betrayals don't break us. They forge us into something harder, colder, sharper. And I am no longer the man tied to that chair. I'm the man they'll never forget.